Today I'm joined by Adjani Salmon, who is a British-Jamaican filmmaker and the star and creator of Dreamin' Whilst Black, which is a semi-autobiography and story of a British-Jamaican filmmaker struggling to navigate between his dreams and reality in London. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm fine. So where are you tuning in from? Are you in London right now?
Yeah. I'm in London in the moment. Pandemic, you know what I mean? I can't leave if I
Right.
wanted to.
So are you in London proper? Or are you in like the suburbs or in the
Well,
city?
it depends on how you call London, London, because
Okay.
I don't know who affords to live in London, London like
Yeah,
that.
so you're not in Shoreditch right now? No.
No.
Okay.
I can't afford to live in London, London.
Okay, got you. So I don't know if you remember, but we met in 2018 in Paris at a viewing for the show, which was just on YouTube at the time.
Yeah.
Fast forward 3 years later, and you're on the BBC. Congrats. How did you
Thank
make that leap from YouTube to the BBC?
you. Boy, just shopping around the show to everybody. As I said, we're in Paris. Um, no, but it was very much a lot of. Well, I got signed, which was very helpful.
Mhm.
Um, but it was just meeting up with getting optioned by a production company, Big Deal Films, and them really taking the reins and pushing it to broadcasters. And they were
Right,
the ones who kind of like presented it to the BBC and said, look, this is the next big thing on YouTube. You should probably take it and lead it.
right.
So, which they've given us the pilot. So here we are now.
Yeah, congrats. And could you explain the significance of the BBC to, say, maybe Americans or others who are unfamiliar with the network? I know about the network and I know how much of a big deal it is, but can you explain, what the BBC is?
It's funny because in America, like, because you guys have public broadcasters as well. Like, it's PBS. PBS
Yeah,
is our government
PBS,
network.
but unless you're a little kid watching Sesame Street or an old person watching, some type of super special news documentary, then no one really sits around watching PBS. But
Yeah.
people
So
actually sit around
I was
watching
about to say
BBC.
the interesting
Yeah.
thing is BBC is arguably the equivalent of like our HBO. So like
Okay.
the most expensive shows are BBC shows.
Right.
And which is probably why like I Made a Show You was like BBC HBO. Like a lot of shows are co-pros with BBC and like an American network because it is our like premium it is our premium network in the country.
Right. So speaking of HBO, and making a comparison, so you're like the British Mel Issa Rae, if that's the case.
Boy, I could only aspire to be. I can only aspire to be. Who knows? Maybe we'll get an HBO Co-Pro,
Right.
boom, and then we'll be sitting in that space. But that is on it. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah, I definitely see it happening. And, I watching your journey has been so inspiring. As I just mentioned, I met you in like some random Paris cafe,
Yeah,
watching a
yeah.
series, and to see this leap that you made, you're like a real example to me that anything is possible. You hear these stories, but you're actually a real example to me that it's actually possible. So I'm super excited for you, and I think you
Thank you.
really can be on Issa Rae's level. I think that's definitely in your future.
That's what we're pushing to do.
So we were just talking about the differences between networks in the U.S. and in the UK, and you mentioned PBS. So you're familiar with it. Have you ever been to the States?
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't try to go to America at some point? So funny
Mhm.
enough, I went to New York Film Academy for like a summer course that they did. So I was in
Okay.
America for like 3 months in like 2015 living. But I mean, I've been in and out. Like obviously, if I go to film festivals, like I've been to America for film festivals. I've been. I mean, yeah, because remember I'm from Jamaica, Jamaica close. Like
Right.
So I have been a few times. So I'm aware of like, I guess some of the networks and how the system kind of runs there.
So you were in New York and where else?
I've been on. I mean, I've been to LA. I've been to Miami. I've been to Atlanta. I've been, like
Mhm.
yeah, travel.
I'm from Philly. Have you been to Philly?
I have been to Philly, Black Star Film Festival.
Oh
Big up.
yeah.
They Black Star. I went for Black Star Film Festival in 2015, I think. And honestly, that was one. Philly is actually just a crazy place. Like,
Tell me
because
about it.
actually, funny enough, I went to Philly when Drake and Meat Mill had the beef.
Oh,
And Drake
okay.
did Dr. Tune back to back. And I was like, raw. And it was Beer Man who was like, raw, but Drake Tune kind of hard still.
So I know you weren't riding around playing it. You
No,
made an
no,
effort
no,
to
no,
like
no,
not play
no,
that.
no. Honestly, not. But it was not. It was great. It was, and even just learning actually that like the north and the south and all that stuff. But no, Black
Yeah.
Film Festival was like eye opening for me just to see like this hub of like black creativity and just this liberated safe space of people just
Yeah.
thing and doing them thing. I was like, it was a great experience. And I had a Philly cheese blood. Wow. Literally as I landed, I was staying with a friend of mine's older brother who I don't really know
Uh-huh.
like that, but he was just seeing obviously his man, good mate's brother. As soon as he picked me up, he was like, yo, you hungry? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, cool. Drive to this place now. And I'm looking at the menu. He's like, yo, no worry.
I
I,
got you.
he's like, give me the special. And I didn't know where I'm ordered, something. And when I bit into that thing, like, my mind
Hmm.
never understand what happened. Like, what is this, bro?
Heaven on earth.
Yo, so yeah, no, Philly's, yeah, I love Philly.
That's what's up. I'm guessing you didn't taste any Jamaican food there. Do you actually
Uh,
eat Jamaican food in other places, or is it that like too cliche and you might be offended?
nah, you know what? Funny enough, so there I did, but only from so my friend's older brother is a chef.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I would go to his restaurant in the evenings and eat, and obviously in my yard, man, so it proper. But it's funny. Sometimes I eat like I do eat Jamaican food in foreign places because sometimes it's like it feels like home. It's like that one thing that feels familiar. It's like
Right.
sometimes when I feel homesick, I might order like Caribbean takeaway to get just to get something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I asked because I grew up eating lots of Jamaican food. Where I'm from in Philly, Southwest Philly,
Mm,
there's a lot of Jamaicans, and we have some of the best Jamaican food in the city. And so I definitely grew up on jerk chicken and all that. And
mm.
so I was just wondering, does a real Jamaican person, is that something that you would eat when you travel? Because if I went somewhere and they advertise a cheesesteak, before I even taste it, I just won't believe it. I'm like, nah,
Yo,
it's not real, unless maybe the person is from Philly. But
you know
yeah,
what? That's true though, because I won't lie. Remember a couple of years back, I saw there's like a pop up. You know these food stores,
hmm,
a food stall that was like Philly cheesesteak, and I was like, yeah. I was so pissed off. I was like, bro, whatever this is you're doing is a scam. Like,
yeah,
yeah, disrespect the thing. So, but yeah, no, but even in terms of Jamaican restaurants, like, we're very peculiar. Like, if
yeah.
if Mogode and them too polite, or if it's not like, my facility in at the back, like, who's cooking? If that's not a yard man, like fresh, if they're not fresh, man, not eat them. You need for fresh, still raw patois, business, that's what we need for Trust Me Caribbean restaurant.
What? So you were born in Jamaica, right?
So I was born in England actually. I moved to
Oh, you
Jamaica.
were born in England. Oh,
Yeah,
when you were 5. Okay. And which part of Jamaica did you move to?
Montego Bay.
Montego Bay.
So that's like it's like the tourist part. But it's nice. Beaches, all of them things there. It was a vibe.
I haven't been to Jamaica yet. It's actually on my bucket list, and I'm trying to get there this summer. So, we'll have to connect about
Oh,
that so you can give me the hookups. And I asked about whether you were born in Jamaica or not because I noticed that you're referred to as a British Jamaican filmmaker. So I was wondering, would it be backwards if you were born in Jamaica? Would you prefer to be labeled as Jamaican British or is British Jamaican? Is that how you want to be referred to?
it's funny you should ask that question actually because I don't think they say Jamaican British for whatever reason. British always come first, but I do see myself as a Jamaican because it was where I was raised. It was where, like, in terms of my mannerisms, my thought process, my language is
Mm-hmm.
very much Jamaican. So I would see myself as Jamaican first and British by, I would say myself as Jamaican by culture and heritage, British by passport. Like, you know
Gotcha.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I can't help that entered the world in this country. But in terms of the culture that raised me or the culture I was brought up in was Jamaican.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could have been born and raised in the UK and still have come to the same conclusion about your identity. I've actually been learning a lot about British people, more specifically, Black British people and the different identities there. And I learned about BAME. And so in America, and I guess everywhere else outside of America too, like now the new phrase is people of color. So
BIPOC, is that what they say in America?
POC, yeah,
BIP,
people,
so Black,
no,
Indigenous, and people of
Black,
color.
yeah. So the BIPOC or whatever is Black Indigenous people of color, and then there's regular POC or POC people
Yeah,
of color. And so in the UK, you guys have BAME, which is Black and Asian and other
yeah,
ethnic minorities.
Black, Asian, and minority
Minority.
ethnic groups.
Right. So are people really walking around identifying themselves saying, I'm a BAME and this
No,
is how we
no,
feel?
that's just the thing. Nobody actually says they're BIM. People
Uh-huh.
say them black. The Asian people say them Asian.
Right.
The yeah, whoever else who's a ME, whatever the ME is, whether they're Samoan or
Yeah.
they're Mexican or they're Latinx, or like people identify as their own things. So
Yeah.
it's the government who has, you know, created this term to lump all of us together to, I guess,
Right. So that's
tarnish.
their way of, or that's the government's way of feeling better about itself and saying, hey, people who we colonized, we're just going to say, dear BAME.
Bruv, yeah, it's their way of ticking all the diversity boxes all in one, lump us all into one group and solve the issues there. That's their thing.
Speaking of color, Dreaming Whilst Black focuses on the Black experience in a non-Black country such as the UK. Did you think much about race growing up in Jamaica? Did you think about the fact that you were a Black man, or you just thought about the fact that you were Jamaican and you didn't really necessarily connect the two?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. I didn't think about. I was in Jamaica. Everybody's Jamaican, and even our motto, our national motto, is "Out of many one people." It's because Jamaica's obviously a collection of different forms of either slaves or indigenous or indentured servants
Hmm.
in our country. So all of us were brought there for whatever reason. So yeah, me never really obviously me know about black, like obviously reggae music and everything black. But it's funny, I would say blackness for me never tie into any form of like oppression.
Mm.
It never mean that. It just mean this are the color of the skin. Love your black skin. Love your black queen. Big up your black king. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where it was at for me. Where it was when I came to England that black, and it's obviously it's not like we don't know. You understand? Like obviously we watch news. Everybody see what going on in America, and everybody see what going on in England and Europe and everything. But the prime minister's black. The
Right.
judge is black, the police, we have police brutality, but the police are also black. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so even though a lot of Jamaicans' issues are actually derivatives of colonial and racial rule, the conversation in Jamaica isn't centered around race because everyone is black, right? But it's just gotten to the point that we've inherited an imperialist system and a class system, but everybody in it is black. So it's almost like we still have the same oppressive structures, but it's now black people that oppress black people. So when we having the conversation, we don't at my level growing up, it's not equated to a racist issue because it's a black person who in government under the fuckery, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely get that. Being raised in the States, my experience has been the opposite. I jump for joy when I see Black people in certain positions because that's not something that I'm used to. So what did you think about Black Panther? Did you think
What
that,
the
yeah, the film, was it kind of weird to you to see this like Black utopian place and you're like, hello, have you ever heard of Jamaica or, Ghana, like where everybody has always been Black,
what?
the president has always been Black?
You know what? Yeah. Man, America has such a complicated history. Because I would say, first off, difference between like look, Jamaica and slavery. Matter of fact, Jamaica was a breaking ground for slaves. So when you travel them, when you thief them in West Africa, you carry them go Jamaica first, break them down into submission, and then send them off to America as good Negroes, so to speak. But I would say the difference between Jamaica and America, or the Caribbean and America, is that after slavery, because we were the majority on the island, slowly through being a colony, we were managed to galvanize and say, actually, we want the country back. Go, like, leave us alone. Like, let us just do our thing. Whereas America was just like, okay, slavery's done, but you still live here. What? And if you've just kept your slave, like the slave master is unfortunately still your neighbor. Like, and then that just, generations pass and you have Jim Crow and all this, school to prison pipeline. It's just,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, it's madness, pure
but,
madness.
but when I saw Black Panther, because obviously, look, I don't even think, it's funny. It's funny the importance that people equate to it. Because for me, obviously, it's a Marvel movie. I'm just seeing this as, oh, man, I didn't, to be honest, we're not even in a comic book like that. So when I was like, oh, man, thing, they have a Black Panther, they say, okay, cool, sick. Like, it's just a thing, you know what I'm saying? But when I saw how Black people came out, I was like, rah, this is like, for me, it's just, superhero movie, whatever. Yes, it would be nice to see, it's nice to see a Black superhero. But the triumph of not only having, I think it was not only just the film, because let's be clear, what's it called? Hitch? No, Hancock.
Hancock, yeah, with Will Smith,
Hancock
right?
is Will Smith. So it's not the first time we see a Black superhero. There was Blade as well. Blade is technically a Marvel superhero as well, which is actually their first Marvel movie. And even the one with Shaq. Remember that?
Uh,
Don't must
was
have.
that is that Space Jam or am I like getting that
No,
confused? That's Michael Jordan.
there's a superhero film with Shaq where he was in. Oh man, I don't know if I'm showing up my age by even saying this. Like,
Yeah, that's off of my radar. I can't even think of what it is. I can only think about Space Jam with Jordan. I can't
oh,
think
it was
of it.
called Steel. That was the film.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right. So you see what I'm saying? So for me, it wasn't like, oh, they ain't never been a Black superhero film. Because
Right.
I remember watching Steel, and there's even an older one as well. I can't remember that name. But I guess it was the fact that Ryan Coogler directed it. He was a black black director, black writer, black heads of departments, the weaving of the narrative away from an American context, actually there's this black utopia, so to speak, was really interesting. And it's funny because actually it's funny, like Ryan Coogler did a very interesting thing with that film where when I was watching it and I was kind of like, but kind of agree with Killmonger. Like, how did you man just watch slavery and a bag of things happen and just never do nothing?
Right.
That's a bit mad. But then on the second hand, when the end of the film comes and he's like, yo, I'm gonna open up, I'm gonna tell America. I was like, no, that ain't the solution, bro. Don't tell these men that you have the things. Like, it's
Yeah.
giving away the thing. Like, I'm like, go to Kenya first. Don't go all the way to America. Like, help Kenya. But yeah, man, look, it was good to see a black story not centered on like against white people. It was like, just black people existing within their own world and seeing it on such a large scale. Because I think the budget was like what them, like something like 100 million or something dumb like that.
Yeah.
It was
They
great to see a black story given that much resources to just exist. So yeah, it was great to see, and it made this money because yeah, it was a good film.
So, Dreaming While It's Black is obviously a black show.
Mhm.
One of your teachers in film school advised you to be careful about what you write about black people because you were the only black student in the class and therefore would be like the expert on black issues. Do you feel unfairly burdened by the need to be the accurate voice of Black people? Does that hinder your creative process?
I wouldn't say it hinders my creative process, but I do think that black artists in the West have a particular burden because we don't get opportunities as often. So, for instance, to compare us to like, even forget white people, Jamaica. There are loads of young filmmakers coming up in Jamaica making work. Some work is not really positive about Jamaica or conducive to Jamaican society. But it's fine because we have tons of people making films in Jamaica. So we get the good ones. And when the good ones are good, we're like, yeah. And when the bad ones are bad, we don't place the burden on them to say, oh, you're you're misrepresenting us because we watched that other good thing yesterday, you know? Whereas because we don't have that many opportunities here to make that much work, each time someone has an outing, it's almost like you gotta get it right.
Right.
Like, let's be clear, Ryan Coogler, yeah, had a massive pressure with Black Panther because it was like, bruv, if you get this right, you will open the doors for us. But if you fumble this, they'll be like, see, we gave you a chance, you're not ready, and you're not gonna say our next black man gets a film for like the next 5 years. You know what I mean? It's that pressure of like, if you don't succeed, it's almost like it feels
Right.
like you don't succeed, you've set us back.
Yeah.
Or because, and from an audience perspective, if I don't get it right, because there ain't that many shows, black people be like, nah, man, like you X'd us. You didn't do us, you did us dirty. And it
Yeah.
could simply be like, that's just where I'm at in my growth as an artist. And unfortunately, I'm not there yet. But we don't have the freedom to kind of just be shit until we're not. Like, because we don't get that many opportunities.
Right. So, Dreaming While It's Black, the title itself is heavy, and if you read the description for the show, it sounds kind of serious. By indicating how is this filmmaker, struggling between dreams and reality, but in fact, the show is actually lighthearted. It's part comedy, and you highlight some of the stereotypes that whites have about blacks, and about Jamaicans as well. Are white people in the UK that naive, or is that just something that uh, did in the show to really make light of the issue, or are people really asking their black coworkers about the color purple?
um, you know what? Yeah, I would say this: we don't make up racist jokes. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Say that. Whether it's me or whether it's a friend of mine or whether it's a white colleague who heard it, but generally what we do is to take amalgamation of madness that we've heard and reflect
Hmm.
into a three-act structure.
Another thing that I noticed that you were very intentional about in the show was black love, and more
Okay.
specifically, dark skin black love. You're
Yeah.
the main actor, and obviously you're dark skin, but your love interest is a dark skin black woman. And I've heard you speak about that fact that that's something that you wanted to do intentionally. Why was that important?
Man, representation, as I said, not only representation, but like not it's funny because I don't even want to say representation, I want to say authenticity. Like when you really deep Viola Davis' career and see how many times has she been a love interest, you know? Or but when you deep, even that wave, remember, I don't know how old you are, so I don't know if I'm just revealing myself here.
I'm mid
But yeah,
30s.
oh, okay, cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. So you know that era of like Love and Basketball, The Best
Hmm.
Man, Stella Got Her Groove Back, all
Yeah.
of them films. When you actually beat the women who are the Nia Long, Regina, all of them babes. When you actually deep it, you're like, wait, hold on a second. How many of these women are dark skinned women? They're all attractive women, but how many of these women are dark skinned women?
Right.
And then when you look at Halle Berry, Tandy Newton, Zoe Saldana, you can go on and on and on and on and on and on. And actually, I don't know if I can list 5 dark skinned women who have been love interests like that.
Yeah.
But my mother is dark skinned and she had me, so clearly somebody saw her as a love interest. Like you know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like we're not seeing it in like, and then you look on, music and music videos and footballers and superstars and all, and I just feel like, but the reality, what is represented in the media and what is reality isn't the same. Like loads of my partners have been dark skinned. But if you was to take the statistic of how many of my previous partners have been dark skinned to how many dark skinned love interests there are on TV, you'd watch TV and believe a black man only talk to light skinned girl based on TV. So, and that obviously goes into perception of beauty and racist standards of beauty and all of that stuff. So for me, it was more just about being authentic and being intentional to say, yo, actually, in real life, dark skinned women are love interests. So it's just important for me to show that and say, actually, this is real life. Like, because we had to check ourselves as well in the sense of obviously you go for the most talented person,
Mhm.
but we did do, and Barberie is phenomenal in the pilot. And just a phenomenal actress and person in general. But it was also like actually, if we just go for models or dark skinned women who look like Naomi Campbell,
Mhm.
what are we representative of society?
Right.
I know whole heap of Naomi Campbell out there as either. So yeah, man, it's just about being intentional, about being authentic. I think that's really what it was about for me.
Well, I definitely can speak on behalf of Black women and say that I appreciate that, and I think a lot of other Black women are going to appreciate that fact. I'm not sure if you're on Clubhouse. Are you on Clubhouse?
I had to get an account because of this one talk, but me not really engage. I won't lie.
Okay. Well, I asked because I'm on Clubhouse, and there have been some rooms in which there have been some Black women from the UK speaking about interracial dating and how Black men in the UK they only want white women or light skinned Black women, and so now in response, the Black women are saying, "Well, I'm gonna get me a white man. I'm going to divest from Black men." And so I'm like, "Wow, is it really that bad in the UK?"
You know what's so fascinating? And we looked into this the other day. Actually, but again, remember, we just spoke about media.
Yeah,
Black men marry Black women. Like data. This is like, and fair enough, it's marriages, because obviously that, no, I think they did marriages and cohabitating in a household.
got you.
So like just relationship who live together. Um, but most, and it was something mad, like 80 odd percent.
Right.
And I was thinking, okay, so actually, we are projecting the false narrative as well.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say that if you look at the footballers and you look at the, certain celebrities, you're not going to get a certain image. Or if you look at the politicians, you're going to get a particular image. But if you look at the day to day, like if you look at my virgins, you will see the opposite. So I think it's a very interesting.
Well, I mean, I'm married to a Black man, so I can confirm that. And
Oh,
when I hear that, or I hear women talk about their experience, I don't want to negate the next person's experience. We all have different realities, but speaking for myself, I've never had a problem attracting Black men, and I've definitely seen a lot of Black men date and marry Black women. But I do agree that sometimes, some Black men they step outside of the Black. It definitely it's about the need for representation, as you said. Like, you have people live in different realities, which is in fact reality, and that's each
mhm,
individual's reality. And then you have what you see in the media, which is fiction. It's not
mhm,
necessarily the truth. Really speaking about the need for representation and being authentic, that made me think about some criticism that's been said about British actors taking Black American jobs or acting as Black Americans in films. Because is that really authentic? Is Damson Idris, playing this drug kingpin from South Central LA? Is that authentic? So, what do you think about
um,
that? Do you have
okay,
and I guess I don't know if you're going to be biased, but I love to hear your thoughts on this.
okay. Here's one thing I would say. It is acting. So there's that, where it's like, actually, if it was a white actor blacking up to play somebody to play a Black man, then me would be like, why don't you just cast a Black person? But I think to the vein of all Black British people being cast in Black American people, I would ask then, why didn't you cast Kenyans and East Africans to be in Black Panther? Why did you cast Morgan Freeman to be a South African? What, like, I don't know, we do it all the time. Why did we cast Morris Forrest Whitaker, I think it is? Was it Forrest Whitaker?
Forrest
Who
Whitaker.
was Idi Amin in The Last King of Scotland? Like, we can, like, I just feel like the people who have that conversation don't actually interest themselves in the conversation when it goes the other way around. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, cool. You have a problem with British people being African Americans. Do you also have the same problem when African Americans play Africans? Or is it just when we come over to your thing? Right.
Well, all right. So let me speak to why I think some people have this issue. See, the thing is, and about our experience as Black Americans in America, we are, or Black Americans are striving for identity and striving for something that's only ours. We're first of all, we don't really know, who we are, where we come from, other than the fact that we do have African heritage, but it basically stops at that. So we want to be treated special for that reason. And then we have others, or there are situations in which you have, some, I guess, real African Americans or Nigerians who move to America. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden they're lumped in the same category as us, when
For sure.
we want to be treated differently. We want to be treated, uniquely for our experiences.
Mhm.
And so, one of the reasons why we want to be treated differently is because of the discrimination that we face historically for who we are. So we feel that it's not fair that people are able to just land on American soil and automatically or immediately begin reaping benefits that were made specifically for us, due to our background and our history, when they've never necessarily had those experiences. So with film, some people see that as another slap in the face and say, well, damn, I'm not good enough to be a Black American or a Black person and make my way in Silicon Valley as an engineer or a lawyer in the legal industry. Now I can't even play people who are me, or play a role that's made for somebody like me. You got to go get a Black person with an accent, or somebody else. It just makes Black Americans feel like we're not good enough, that somebody else always has to kind of get the upper hand over us. I think that's really where that criticism comes from. And to answer your question about how come Black Americans or Black directors don't necessarily seek Africans or non-Black Americans to play roles that were designed for them? I think that maybe it comes down to location. So if you're making a film in America, I guess at least they do have that excuse that you're just grabbing, local Black Americans to
But
fill that
is that
role.
is
But Damson is not from like America.
no?
Like,
But
was he
here's
even
the thing.
living
No,
in it?
but, but do you realize how you're making an excuse for when you do it, but not making an excuse for when we do it? Because let's be clear, Damson lives in America, right? Now,
Mhm.
when you decided to make, when you decided to have to, for example, actually, perfect example, Luke Cage,
Yeah.
season 2, the whole antagonist gang is Jamaicans. Not one of them is Jamaican. Now, as you know, I'll be a Jamaican there in New York. Like my
Yeah.
cousin is an actress. And I remember seeing it. I'd be like, yo, cuz, you never get an audition for that. Like, walk one. So this is what I'm saying again, where I do think I understand. Now, here's one thing I would say. I definitely understand the gripe of feeling that you've built an industry like through your hardships and don't want to see your industry removed away from you, either by white people or Black people who are not from where you're from. But I would also say that's partially that if you're going to say that, one, you have to say that across board. Don't have Americans being like Will Smith in that film where he was a Nigerian doctor, where he was talking about the concussion, actually disrespectful, his accent. Like he was actually, and I'm not even Nigerian. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, at least try. At least try some Nigerian. That's the best he could do. Like, you see what I'm saying? So I'm like, if you're going to have that energy, keep that energy like you know what I'm saying? Like, and is it divide and rule? That's what I'm saying. Where are we now pitting ourselves against each other in the sense that, yo, like, where do we stop and begin with this? Because it can't just stop and start at British people. If we're going to start with British people, then we're going to say, actually, Chadwick, you're not from West Eastern Africa. But then you're going to say Black Panther is fictional, right? But then we could argue that Star Wars is set in space. So why it can't be John Boyega? It's not set in America. It's set in space. John Boyega, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
But also So yeah, there's so many layers to it, and I just think like I think it should be an open conversation versus like we're taking your jobs, because we're taking your jobs is very much a divide and rule. It's the same thing that they use in England by saying black people were taking their jobs, and then all of a sudden Eastern Europeans are taking their jobs, and everybody is taking British people's jobs, when actually, how about it's budget cuts that's taking your job? How about it's we call it when you resort put jobs overseas to like
Outsourcing.
yeah, how about it's outsourcing jobs that's taking your jobs? Not us small people who trying to make our own living that's taking your job.
Mhm.
Like, let's deal with the actual issue rather than fighting for the small, like fighting for the scraps that we have. You know what I mean? I feel like that's where we need to kind of be head look like that. I think that's where we should focus versus saying Daniel Kaluuya can't be. Have you seen the film?
Which film?
Damn, Black Judas and the Judas
Oh
and the Black.
yeah, definitely. I've saw it.
Like
Yeah.
instead of saying,
And he was great. I mean, he deserved
bruh,
that Oscar. He was
bruh,
amazing. Give it to him.
you
Like,
know, instead of saying, oh, he shouldn't be doing that, it's like actually the issue is there not enough films? That's the issue. So now we're fighting over the few things.
that's a great point. That's a great point.
Actually, let's focus our energy to saying, listen, we need to make more movies so that more black people can get work, so that all of us can eat, versus fight for the little food right up on the plate.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with British actors playing in American roles. I was just acknowledging that that can be an issue, or some people do have that problem. But British actors are actually uniquely talented, because some of them you wouldn't even know that they were British. I don't know how you
Yeah,
guys shake that accent,
yeah,
because I can't sit here and talk like the queen. You're gonna know that I'm playing, but they can sound like me, and I really think that they're from the block.
yo, but you know what it is? I think that it's yeah, yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know because I only know a British accent because I've had to like exist here. And being Jamaican just kind of felt like it a work against me. So I learned a British accent to be able to blend in when needed. But I can't tell you how these man ping in and out.
Yeah, that's amazing. They deserve an Oscar for that alone. I can't be mad at it. I noticed when we were emailing to arrange this, I noticed in your email signature that you list your pronouns. What made you do that?
I just feel like because before I was like, well, if you see me, you know. But someone did explain to me that look, normalizing, it's just normalizing, suggesting, like giving someone the pronouns for you to use so that we can normalize it for those who may have pronouns that may not immediately look like the pronouns that they identify with. And so for me, I was like, all right, cool. It's not I'm not going to say, but I'm a man. It's just like, okay, cool. For those, if this helps normalize um, certain protocol, which is beneficial for certain marginalized groups, i.e., like, the trans community, then why not? It's the least I
Yeah.
could do to
When
support
I
it.
saw that, I was like, "Oh, he woke." You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's woke. So can we expect queer representation and characters from the LGBTQ community in shows of yours in the future?
It's funny because I think a lot about identity politics, and obviously I'm making a show that touches on race. I think a lot about that, and I don't like when I'm watching a show and them just dashing a black man just because, and clearly him just get dashing, but him still name Hubert or whatever him name, and I'm just like, guys, you could have kept the show all white. It's not that deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so I don't like representation for representation's sake. So in the same vein, as much as if I'm saying it's a Black British experience, even though it's from a heteronormative perspective, I would like at some point for us to explore that, but I don't want to shoehorn it in, if that makes sense. I don't want to be like, oh, we need, so we have a Black woman, a Black man, now we need a mixed race girl, and now we need like a trans.
Yeah, taking
No,
off the rainbow.
yeah, yeah, me not try to do all of that. But it is something which I'm conscious of saying, okay, cool, maybe we should, if we're gonna say it's a Black British experience, in the same way that I'm intentional about saying, okay, how can we introduce Car- like Black British, but like Caribbean British um characters versus West African, like Nigerian, Ghanaian, Somali British characters, that I should probably think consciously about how can we have someone from the queer community in the show without it being like, check, done that.
Yeah.
Keep
It has to still remain authentic. Yeah. See, I told you you were woke. You get it. Not everyone gets it. I'm sure it took a while to get to this point, but you get it. And maybe it's from your reading. You read a lot. And actually you read a book per week while you were creating Dreaming Whilst Black, right?
I did.
That's heavy.
And it was stressful, but yo, as I say, the knowledge expands and it keeps expanding. Like right now I'm reading a book called All About Love by Bell Hooks, and it has stressed me out. Like it's so good and compelling, but the way how it's dismantling my own perception of what I know to be love or perceive as love, and like gender and even, I'm just thinking, god damn, like what is this? So
Yeah.
I still have so far to go, but I think it's really just about being committed to doing the work. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like for women, that's it. I'm sure no man is perfectly feminist, but I'm assuming women choose men who have an acceptable level of non-misogynistic views, or are at least
Yeah.
trying to be better. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, everybody just out here just needs to
Yeah,
keep.
well, my perfect ideal man, he's the type of guy who, opens the door, pays the bills, but is still respectful. So whatever branch of feminism that falls under,
Yo, you
that's cool with me.
just take what you need. You know what I'm saying? Like what I can do again.
However that works. So what's next? What can we expect next from you?
Hopefully some more Dreaming Was Black. So as I've said, it's currently a pilot that is on BBC iPlayer. So whenever this comes out, if any British people watch it. Like, um, but also, yeah. So we hope to get the season. But also, I have a few more comedies that I'm working on as well. Not as issue based as this.
Okay.
Funny enough, I have a sitcom based on a Caribbean restaurant, a Jamaican restaurant.
Okay. Nice.
Fun. Yeah, so I have a few more shows that I'm writing, which I'm looking forward to showing the world. So
Oh, you know what? I almost let you go without asking a very important question that I've been dying to ask you. What
okay.
are your thoughts on Kamala Harris? Well,
You,
it was a pause there.
you've been trying to get me in trouble this whole time.
There
You
was a
want people coming
pause.
for me. You
There was
want
a
people
pause.
coming for
Hold
me.
up, hold up.
Listen, here's what I would say. And let me try to think about this because
Come
you're
on, your publicist prepped you for this moment. What are you supposed to
no, no,
say?
no.
Come on.
I was prepped for the other stuff. I wasn't prepped for this Kamala Harris business. Obviously, it's a monumental step for a black woman to be there, as it was for a black man to be the president. I would say, though, that it is not about a black person being there. It is about what the black person does. So obviously, she just go in office. So me no know. I don't know what she's doing or isn't doing yet. I haven't been following American politics like that. But I would say in the same way, like take the lesson from former colonies like Jamaica. Jamaica, or as said by Frantz Fanon, be mindful of the petty bourgeoisie, because if they still hold the values of the colonizer, what you will have is not a liberated people, but the same system just being oppressed by your own, which is a lot of in a lot of cases what Jamaica has now, where we still have the same classist structures that England put on us.
Mhm.
Again, it is great that Kamala Harris is there. She had Jamaican father, love that. But I would say I'm more invested in seeing what she does than just the fact that she exists. I think that's the next step. Like representation is cool, but like if a man if it's black police who are gonna keep killing black people, then we haven't progressed. You understand? So it's about what she does. So I guess I'm watching like everybody else is to see how she uses the power she has,
Right.
the lives of everybody in America.
And what about the consensus back home? Are people back home in Jamaica excited about her, or do they,
Yeah,
share the same?
so listen, Jamaican people claim people who never claim Jamaica, Like I know a couple years ago where Jamaicans decided Rihanna was Jamaican and just claim her. So you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah, man. Obviously, Jamaican love the fact say a Jamaican abroad being her father could elevate their family to that level. It's amazing to see. So yeah, yeah. As I said, Jamaican just claim people like who knows. We may just decide that
Mhm.
this is Jamaican one day and just claim him, and there's nothing anybody else can do. We're gonna just claim it.
That's funny. Well, yeah, we'll have to see what she does, and I feel the same way as you. You know, she's cool until she's not. That's all I can really say.
You know what I'm saying?
She's cool until she's not. So, how can Americans without access to the BBC watch Dreaming Whilst Black?
Oh man. So the YouTube series is unfortunately because the show is of the same name. We have to unlist the web series.
Mm,
And it's in certain websites. It'll still be there. Um,
right.
but we're hoping to get an American distributor for the show so that we could have, because again, we made this because we want people to watch it. We want black people around the world to watch it. And funny enough, I think Americans would be quite interested in it, since because you hear a lot about, like, I remember when Samuel L. Jackson said something about black British people have been like sipping tea with white people for how many years. And not quite.
Right.
No. So I do think there is an appetite to see what the black British experience is.
Hmm.
Are working to try and get some form of distribution in America. So when that time comes, I'll let you know so you can let the man them know. That's
Okay, well, we'll be watching. And again, congratulations on all your success. And I'm looking forward to seeing more from you in the future.
Thank you very much.